everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Shayla. Thanks so much for joining me. Today we will be making a little tag booklet. I will show an example in just a moment. I am actually making these because I recently sold a little kit that I demoed on my Whatnot channel. And so I wanted to make these for the people who bought my kit so they can kind of craft along. If you do want to make one, but you don't have a kit, fear not, you can still make one. I'm going to show you some kind of workaround things, and they're pretty easy to make. So let's jump into it. All right, so let me show you some examples before we get started. So this is the little tag booklet that we'll be making today. I will show a little supply list, but I'll kind of run through it. You will need some sort of little clasp or 3-ring binder. This is like I think it's probably like a 1/2-inch 3-ring binder. There's bigger ones as well. You will need some cardstock, some papers, as well as some embellishments. But look at how cute it is. I even put a little paper flower up at the top here. We have some vintage laces and trims. And you can add as many pages as you want to this. I just kind of kept it simple. It's an easy little craft. You can probably get this done in about 30 minutes once you source your materials. But there's that. And then I like to add just a little kind of focal point as well as some journaling space. So you'll see some blank pages as well. And I will give you some ideas on how you can either fill up those blank pages or, just make them, I guess, not blank. Lost for words there, but there's a little bit of vintage. I like to include that, and usually when I'm doing journal making or any sort of junk journaling type things. A little pocket on that one. We have some different little book pages, and then of course you have to have a nice sturdy backing, so that's just some cardstock. But yeah, so that's one example. They have the same pages on the inside, but here's the front of another one, a little bit different. So we are going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you the list here. So this is the kit. I'm just going to be working off of the kit today. However, if you wanted to make your own, you are going to need some front and back cardstock. And I will say for the front piece, you want an image as well. So for example, this is what I'm using. It's actually from a printable. And I will have this printable linked in my description. I got this off of a seller on Etsy, and it came with like 100 pages or 100 images. They were all on their own page, so I had to actually like put them all on one page and resize them, which I did through Canva, which I highly recommend if you have not utilized Canva. It's very user-friendly, but I was able to turn those bigger images into more like journal card size. So I did do a little bit of work on that front, but you could really use any imagery. You don't have to use this digital. But again, I will link that below. It's not my digital, I just purchased it. And of course, I'm using it in my crafting. So you will need that. You will also need some papers to put inside of your little tag booklet, of course. Some embellishments just to make it cute and fun. And you can go crazy and embellish it as much as you want or as little as you want. You will need a paper clip, just a regular size paper clip, nothing fancy. That's going to help us when we trim our papers down. And you will need, well, this is kind of optional, the trims and laces. I highly recommend that just for some different texture, just to add a little interest to your tag booklets. But again, that part is optional, as well as eyelets. Eyelets are technically optional, but I do like to put them on the front and back just to kind of give it a completed look and also give it a little more stability. Some tools that you will need. So some glue. I have some glue here. Use whatever glue you would like to use. I'm using this one because this is good for paper. It's also good for like fabric bits, which I will be using as well. A stapler. This one is optional. You can just use glue, but I'll show you. It's just to staple the little like tab on the side. And also, if you're using eyelets, again, that part is technically optional. You will want an eyelet punch and setting tool. So I have my Crocodile here. We'll be using that. I highly recommend these. I use it for any time I need to make holes or set eyelets. You will also need a pair of scissors. That's just to be doing some cutting. And then an optional thing that I feel like gives it a little extra pizzazz is Distress ink and dauber. That is, if you're unfamiliar, this is actually an oxide, but it's literally the same thing. It's just an ink pad. This is Vintage Photo, so I'll be using this one today. And then, of course, your daubers are just these little daubers here. So that is pretty much the tools that you will need, and different materials. I do have some little more ideas that you can use when you're making this, but we'll go through that in just a moment. Okay, so as I said before, I am using this digital. I actually already pre-cut it out, and I did back it on some cardstock, so it has cardstock. And all I'm going to do now is I have my little embellishments, and this is where if you did purchase the kit from me, you're going to have all of these things in here that I have, so you can just kind of follow along. Of course, feel free to make it up as you go on. You don't have to make it exactly how I do, but in case you need some sort of guide, we have that fabulous paper clip. Don't lose hold of that. And then we have all of our papers. So the first part isn't exactly the most fun part, I would say, because we are going to actually trim all of our papers to this size. And the way I like to do it, you could definitely make a template out of this if you wanted to, just using some cardstock, but I just kind of like to wing it. So this is where the paper clip comes in handy. I'm going to put the paper clip on there. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut out, I'm going to follow the tag as my guide, and then I'm just going to cut out all of these images. So, okay, hopefully I'm still in frame. It's always hard whenever you're cutting on camera. Okay, and we're just going to move our little bits off to the side there. So first one done, we are going to repeat that. I'll cut a few on camera, and then I can kind of speed through the other ones off camera, just so that way we save some time. So for this page, it is a fabulous little foreign language page. It's a French book page, but I did cut this piece off because I want more of the text. So kind of just playing with that. So I'm going to pin it, and sometimes you pin it in different places depending on what you want to be included as like part of the text. So we're just going to cut that one. I hope y'all are having a great day. Hopefully you make something great today. I know I have not been on in a while. My apologies. As you guys know, I work and stuff. I do run, obviously, a small business, so I do shows on my Whatnot channel. There will be a link in the description to my Whatnot if you want to go follow me on there. But, just living life. So, but I'm glad to be here with you guys today. Okay, sorry about that. That was abrupt. We were just cutting. I actually had to go deal with some sound issues. We'll just say I live in an apartment. How about that? Okay, so I am cutting the library card. I was like, hopefully you can still see me on camera. Okay, so I'm just scooting these little scraps out of the way. You can really use any sort of papers that you want to. Okay, so for this one, I feel like I kind of want like some sort of nice image. I like this one or this one, but since this already has like a jagged edge, I'm going to go for this one because it just makes it easier that I don't have to cut, one side. So we'll go for that one. you can always use the scraps to make fun little clusters. And then you could put those clusters in this little tag booklet or journal. I mean, it kind of could be both, right? Right. Perfect. Got that one. And so I'm just going to go through and cut out the rest of these, and then I will be right back. Okay, really quickly, so I cut out all my other pages, but I have these two left, and obviously these aren't full pages. So what I kind of like to do is line it up, whichever side you want. So I'll line it up here like so, okay, and get it where you want, and then I just kind of snip whatever is overhang. And for this one, I like it to be cut a little bit short. So I'm probably going to cut it, like I'll probably cut it like this. So it's like that when it's hanging, just for some unevenness. This, of course, is some really great little ephemera that you can totally use. And that came in my kit, in case you're wondering. Okay, and then we have this one, which is just like torn off literally an envelope. I might even take that little back piece off. And same thing, I am just going to cut where I want it to relay. So like that. And then this one does stick out too. So I'm going to cut this one, but I'm not going to cut it super far because we're going to add some trim to it. And I want to make sure I have room for that. So let's see. Just kind of measuring it here. It's a little uneven, so let me fix that. I feel like I always cut uneven. Okay, that looks better. Okay, so now that we have all of our little tags, you can see when you put them together, it forms a cute little booklet, but we do have to punch the holes. So what I'm going to do is make sure that these are all lined up. And I will take these two small ones out. It's just easier that way. So just get the papers lined up first. Okay, so papers are all lined up and flush. And this is if you have a crocodile, because this can punch through all these papers at once. If not, you might need to like do a couple and then line them up with one that you've already punched, and continue making your punches until you get through all of them. And of course, if you don't care about like things sticking out or uneven, you don't even have to do this. You can just like wing it, you know what I mean, and punch it and see where they land. So depends on how much of a perfectionist you want to be. So there we go. I think that's pretty good. So I am just going to use my crocodile and try and find the center here. There we go. Give it a nice strong punch. And ta-da, it punches through all of them. It's super amazing. So now what we're going to do is we are going to compile our little booklet. So let's take our example here. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because I do want to use the kit items that, in case those who did purchase my kit can make this alongside of me. But otherwise, you know, at this point, you can organize these however you would like. You can even do that with the kit, but we're going to go in order just so we utilize all of the materials. And I actually like to go back to front. So we're going to start with our back, and I like to do the embellishments as I'm working through this little booklet. So I have an eyelet. So let's open up our embellishments pack, which has all these embellishments in here. My embellishment pack does have a piece of grungy tape. If you're new to the junk journaling world, we do like weird things like that. Just because it makes things look old, or kind of worn, and that's totally like an aesthetic, like a junk journal aesthetic. Not every junk journal, but you know, that's one of them. So I'm going to take my eyelet, put it through the hole there, and then that's where this fancy tool comes in. And now I'm going to set my eyelet. So just by putting it right there, okay, and pushing down, and there we go. I have set it, so we have got that one. So let's go ahead and start our ring. I will say one thing I like to do for the ring is I like to make sure my papers, when I end up closing it, that this ring, or this, not the ring, but this piece right here, the thick piece, is at the back. So I'll actually do it this way because we have to layer them. So it'll go like that, and then this piece is just at the back. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there, and we're going to move on to the next page, which is our little floral Autobahn type identification page. Now this page is cool. If you did get this in the kit, you could color it in if you wanted. You could do some distressing, like inking around the edges. I'm just going to leave it blank. I'm going to try and stay true to my example here, but you could totally do so many things with that page. You could layer on top of it, add like a little fake flower, you know, all the things. Okay, so the next page is going to be our foreign language page. Again, you could distress this page as well. And you know, just for fun, we will deviate on this one. How about that? Let me get my dauber. Here we go. And we're just gonna, because I love the way like the distress ink looks on book page. I think it just gives it a really nice, yummy color. There we go. And that looks so good. Okay. Move that out of the way. All right, so now we're going to make our little pocket for this. You'll see in my example, I used this sheet. I didn't have more of those, so I had to improvise, but we're going to use this. This is actually like a Tim Holtz tag from his little tag booklet, and I think it just goes really well on here. So I'm going to take this, but I'm going to cut it at an angle, so you'll see what I mean. So I'm just going to... And this too I'm winging, by the way. This is just a scrap at this point, but you can totally keep that for all sorts of things. So there we go. We have our little pocket, and now we are going to glue it down so we can add our mini tag. I am using the Beacon 3-in-1. I feel like this is incredibly similar to the Beacon Fabri-Tac or Fabri-Fix. I don't really know what the difference is, but I'm not a glue connoisseur, so so don't come after me. But yes, I'm just putting it on the two corners, and let's move our papers out of the way just in case. And I'm just gonna stick it right here. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. My dog wanted out. Okay, so we glued our little pocket, and each kit came with a mini tag. Now with the mini tag, I did not add, oh, if I could get it, it's stuck. I did not add any trim here. You could totally do that. I'm just going to leave it for now. And I think I'm going to turn on this side just because it's kind of clashing in color. But you could also add whatever you want in there. If you have like a cute little quote or something, you could add that. You could add, I have like mini playing cards. I actually have one right here. If I can grab it. Okay. So like something like this. Look at how cute that is. Oh my gosh. So cute. Okay. All sorts of ideas. And I'm sure if you don't have a mini playing card, there's probably a printable for it. If you absolutely have to have it. Okay, there we go. So put that on there. Let's move on to the next one. All right, so the next one is going to be our little envelope piece, which is right here. And this one is going to require a little trim embellishment. So you're going to pick up this pack, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and take these out of here because we'll be using them. And we're gonna use this cute little embroidered piece. And all we're gonna do is just glue it down at the bottom. Very simple, don't have to think about it. You could honestly use any trim. You could use like fringe, lace, really anything. If you don't have that, you could use washi tape. You could use stickles or like art glitter glue and just make little dots at the bottom, although you have to let it dry. But yeah, there's so many different options. Okay, so there we go. And I'm gonna trim the edges now. I don't mind a little bit of overhang because remember we trimmed this. So, okay. Perfect, there's that. So now I'm gonna put that one in here. Okay. Just get those out of the way. So our next one is just the ledger. So I have a piece of ledger here. I'm just going to stick that in. This is great for leaving some writing space. So I left that one blank. You could definitely do whatever you wanted to it. And I do have these ideas. So you could obviously ink all the edges. You could add some embellishments, buttons, flowers, all sorts of things. You could watercolor it. And then once it's dry, put it in here, or use the distress sprays. You could use like ink and like do the little flicks of like ink. I've done that with like white ink before. Okay, and that's different. That's for like adding to the binder ring. You could also sew around the edges or do a faux stitch. If you're unfamiliar with what a faux stitch is, I can kind of show you on a scrap. So really quickly, you just take whatever you are using or you want to create a stitching on, and then let's see if I can zoom in. All you do is just right around the corner, you just create these little like tick marks, and then you just go around the whole thing. Okay. Like this. And it looks like it's been stitched, which is so cool. You can also do the zigzag stitch, which is like, I'm not very good at it, but you know, like if I were to do it all the way around, oh, sorry, you didn't even see that. That's what it would kind of look like, but it would be on the edge. So you can do that as well. Okay, but moving on, we are just going to keep that blank for now. And then we have the next one, which is going to be our little greenery page. And that's this one. Let me zoom out just a little bit. So we have our greenery page, and I am going to put that, well, actually, let me glue probably be nice if I glued the butterfly. So every single one of the packs comes with a butterfly. And this is the one that's in mine. So I'm just going to put it in the middle there. And it's just kind of like a nice focal page. Not everything has to have, you know, something elaborate on it or nothing at all. Sometimes it's just nice to look at something pretty. Okay. This little button is driving me nuts. All right, so we're just gonna set that guy down. Oh, not like that. Kind of in the middle, as best as we can. Okay. So once that one's been put on there, we can add it to our booklet. So far, so good. The next one is gonna be our vintage, I guess this is like a calendar page, but look, it's from 1959. Isn't that cool? So we're gonna add that one. And then, okay, after this one, we have the coffee dyed page, and this one you are going to utilize, this is good for writing space, but you're gonna utilize the little piece of alcohol ink tape. So I actually made this tape. It is on like acetate, so you can peel it off and it'll still be sticky. But all you do is, if you have the Tim Holtz alcohol inks, they come in little bottles. You know, you put your tape, you want like the shiny tape, the shiny clear tape, and you put that tape on like acetate or, you know, a sticker. Like when you peel off a sticker and there's that backing, you can also use that backing. And then you take the alcohol ink, it's the color Butterscotch. And I might be able to show y'all actually. Let me grab that. Okay, sorry about the delay there. So it's this color. Earth Tones Alcohol Ink Butterscotch. You could also use like something similar to this color. It doesn't have to be this exact one. But you take this and you put like maybe 1 to 2 drops on here, not a lot. And then you spread it out using a little alcohol ink dauber, which you can find usually at most craft stores. And then it dries really quickly. So it'll dry, but then you can still peel it off because you put it on, you know, your sticker paper or on acetate. So it'll still have the sticky on it. So let's see here. Almost got it there. Oh, okay, I ripped it a little bit. That's okay. There we go. Okay, so I peeled that off. And this just kind of gives you that little, it gives it that little like grungy look. You can even put something down and then, you know, put this on top of it for like a layering effect, but I'm just going to go for it. Now, if you don't want to make this or you don't have the alcohol inks, that's okay. You can totally use washi tape and just put some washi tape down for a little extra pizzazz. Or you could just do something completely different with this page. It doesn't have to have the tape at all. But there we go. Easy enough. And the next page we are going to build is our postcard page. Now my postcard looks a little bit different than the ones in the kit because I ran out of those. So I just found this cute little floral one. And because it's like very white, I am going to ink it actually, because I just feel like it would go better, even though you probably won't see this side because we're going to put the trim, but that's fine. Okay, there we go. It looks so much better. And you should have received in your pack a thick piece of trim. This is a little too thick. If I were to glue this down, it would stick way too far out, and I kind of want it to be right there. So I am going to trim off some of the excess with my scissors. So probably like right about there. Like I want to give a little bit of room so I can glue it. But I do want it to overhang slightly. So, okay, we'll take that. And now what we're gonna do is glue it down. So I am just gonna glue that. I know it's not the most straight, but it's fine. It's fine, not a big deal. I will say when you're gluing this down, if you are using a silicone based glue like I am, sometimes this can bleed through thin fabrics or light fabrics. So I like to just take my finger and kind of smoosh it around so you don't have any big clumpies of glue. And then now I'm going to pop this guy down. Okay. Just like that. All right. I will say there is like a little bit, just trust me on this one. I'm going to cut this at the bottom here. Okay. And then at the top, where the little corner is on this side, I'm actually going to cut, so it's probably easier to do it this way. So I'm going to cut this way. These are not my fabric scissors, I know. Terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I'm going to cut that way, and then I'm going to cut this way. Okay, that's fine. We made it through. And the reason I do that is because if I don't and it sticks up right here, it just looks a little odd in my opinion. So I like it to be flush with like this invisible line, if you will. So there we go. So we are done with that one. Moving on. Okay, the next one also has a little embellishment. That is going to be our library card. And in your kit, you should have received a little paper. All the papers are pretty different, I would say, so just look for like a smallish paper like this. And all we're going to do is I'm going to fold it in half. And then I can choose which side, which I think I like this side. So I'm going to put this side facing forward. And then I'm just going to kind of like see, you could totally put it in the middle. You could put it at the bottom if you like. You put it here. If you want to go crazy and have, you know, things on sticking out on both sides, you could put it on the other side. Really doesn't matter. But this is where you can either use your stapler or you can use a staple. Or you can use your stapler or glue, not a staple. Oh goodness. Okay. So we are going to staple it because I have my stapler handy and that's super easy and we're done. All right. Put that guy on there. Perfect. And we are literally almost done. We have 2 things left to put on here. So we have this one. This one's beautiful as it is. So we're just going to stick that on right on there and it kind of adds some interest. And then now all we have to do is work on our cover piece. So obviously we have our cover. I'm going to start by putting the eyelet in. Again, this part is optional. If you did get the kit, the eyelets were included, but you do not have to use them if you don't want to. All right, so now that we did that, we are done with our eyelet setter tool, and we have this. Now I am going to ink around the edges here. This part again is optional. Okay, perfect. There we go. All right, so now we are going to take, I actually like to do this part first. This is kind of optional. Some of the pieces, if you did get one of my kits, some of the covers are different. They have different imagery. And some of them already have like a nice little focal point. So, you know, it just depends on if you want to use this or not. I find the ones that have less of a focal point, this tends to do better on. But you could probably find somewhere just to put it if you wanted. Have a little, you could have it hang off. Or you could just cut out like a part of it and use it. It's really up to you on how you want to design your cover. But for now, I'm going to try and stick with this. So I'm going to put it right there. So we'll go ahead and glue that down. Just so you can see, sorry. I keep getting out of camera because I'm trying to see. Okay, and I'm just kind of dotting the glue on there because it is, you know, obviously like lace or lace-y trim, if you will. Okay. I feel like we got a good base there so far. And now I'm just going to pop it down. Okay. And this one might hang over a little bit, that's fine. I didn't put any glue on the flower here. Okay, I think that's good. Just need a little bit, just to hold it there. All right, look at how cute already. Now we're going to take our little word. So we have a word. Each word is different in the kits. So hopefully you got a word you like. I felt like they were all pretty good. And then you're going to take your little piece of tea bag. It's just like dyed tea bag. Which, if you drink tea, you can dry out your tea bags and save them. Great little ephemera piece. Add some fun texture. So there we go. And then I just kind of like fussy with it until I figure out what looks good. Like, see, I think that's fine. So I'm gonna take this one, put a little bit of glue on it, and then Okay, sorry, I did that off off the camera, but I just popped it on there. And then I'm gonna re-glue it. So figure out where I want it to go first. Obviously I have it, obviously I have it here, but you could put it, you know, up here if you wanted to. I'll just stick with doing the same thing. So we'll put some glue down. All right, and then just kind of pop it on here. Okay, there we go, that looks good. And then so you still can see like the image and everything. All right, so we've used all of our materials except the little flower. Now some of you in your kits, if you did purchase one of the kits, get a white flower. Well, you could think, oh, that's boring. I actually think the white flowers are deceptively the best. And that's because you can actually use a script stamp and stamp on them. And you can turn them into fun like stamped flowers with like, you know, writing on it. You could use distress inks on it, like the sprays, and turn it into whatever color you want. You could watercolor it, all sorts of different things. So I actually feel like the white flowers have probably the most potential, but there was a variety. So I got one of the pre-patterned flowers, which is totally fine. Still super cute. So I'm gonna put that one down. Okay, now literally all you gotta do is put the flower on there and then shut it. So, and that is it. You have yourself a cute little booklet. You could add this to your journal if your journal has like a little hook for a charm. It's very lightweight. You could put this on like as a present topper as well. Just trying to give you some ideas there. But it's so super cute and it's so super fun. So I hope you enjoyed crafting with me today. Thank you to those of you who purchased one of my kits. I hope you make something amazing. But with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for tuning in. And remember to always stay crafty. Bye.